and develop the agriculture sector. St. Andrews, St. Patrick's, parts of St. David's are all part of the agriculture belt. And in the last 15 years, we have lost that significant dollar, that turning around of that spinning of that dollar on a day-to-day basis. Folks going into the land, getting nutmeg, going to the GCNA, getting something, getting cocoa, minor spices and so on. We've lost that. And therefore, we have seen the downturn. We have seen banks have left Grenada. Banks who are the long-term economic forecasters, they have left, and so on. And no government have made any serious effort to resurrect that rural economy. I mean, I had serious issues with the former government because they was in a position to do more for the rural economy than they have done. And they failed to replant the productive sector. They treat agriculture with benign neglect, and the chicken is coming home to roost. As I heard earlier that this government is making an effort to replant nutmeg, and that should be encouraged.
Right.
St. Andrews, on the whole, is an agricultural base, and we have to go back to agriculture. There's a lot of farmers that are hurting. They are hurting because of the high cost of inputs, feed. There are some livestock farmers that have gone out of business because they cannot afford the high price of the feed and fertilizer from our local entities.
Yes.
We have an agreement where we have a system where we have a monopoly on feed.
Yes.
And, it's time that we look at the monopoly. CFE has served us well. Did the other side comply with the terms and conditions of that monopoly, or is it time to open up the market, have free trade, where liberalize the feed industry, where people can bring in feed from outside, so we can help develop the livestock industry?
Michael, I don't want to cut you, but we're running. Kem, I don't know how we're going, because I know you have an obligation on your program as well.
Right. We can continue because I actually streaming the program on my platform.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate your time. Yeah. So, Mike, great point, right? But people are saying, I just saw someone on the live just said that, what kind of Grenada are you talking about? Oh, we're not living in the same Grenada. You're talking about major economic development, the IMF talking about the economy is booming and all of these things and people having money and stuff like that. But that doesn't trickle down to the normal man. When would the normal man actually start to see that? Because I get the feeling, the impression that people say, okay, you know what? Instead of the government flying to Dubai and flying to other places to look for economical development, to look for funds out there, you should take that money and go around Grenville and give everybody $50. Like people don't understand the trickle-down system and trickle-down effect. Explain it, Kem. When would the normal man start to see those trickle-down effects of everything that's happening?
Well, Junior, we do not print money, right? As a country, we do not print money. As a result, the government has to go out there to find money or assistance. As a result, the Prime Minister, ministers of government, they will be out there and they have to use their negotiating skills to get resources. I was very pleased with the fact that they engaged the Grenadian population in giving a report, an update on what they were able to achieve when they went out there. During the NNP time, we must
never happened.
That never took place. They were traveling, they were going about their own business, and we never knew anything. All of a sudden, we are living, we are existing in a new type of governance, and the word these days is come to us, consult and everything. Well, the government is actually reporting. They're telling you what they were able to achieve, where they went, who they met, and why they're doing all of this. But here it is. I want to come back to the point that Dwight was making. And I want to say a good dancer knows when to get down the stage, because that applause then becomes boos. And that is what we are seeing now. I want to say further, the economy must be driven, and that's to Michael's point, must be driven by the private sector. The NNP supporters have been taught that if government ends giving you money, if government not giving you a road walk, if government not giving the debution or the local construction this year or whatever all around the place, then nothing is happening. No jobs are being created. No opportunities are being created. But you have business places, as both your guests stated, they're asking for workers, right? So the private sector is faring well. Businesses are expanding. Small businesses, medium-sized businesses, larger businesses. That is what you want in an economy like Grenada. I am no economist, but common sense will tell you, you do not want the government to be the main employer in the country. You want hotels to open and hire people. You have Six Senses in St. David. The construction is still taking place. They only recently had interviews for, the whole operational aspect of it. You have Kiwana Bay Resort, or that hotel that property you were able to get back very soon. Something would start there again. Schools are being constructed. Things are happening. So I am saying, once it's driven by the private sector, it augurs well for Grenada, because government could focus on other things. We hear about the new climate smart teaching hospital facility that will happen very soon. So I mean, the whole outlook is very positive, and I pray and hope that the private sector drives the whole developmental process. Let's have them do this, and I think it will be good for Grenada. Let our people understand, yes, government will not abandon the debution program. In fact, they have 4 fortnights ongoing now. I think they're at the second or the third. The second, right? 4 fortnights. So people are getting work. The new Imani training program, that continues. The geriatric caregivers program, that continues. The SEED program, the poor relief assistance program, that continue. And then we can go to the many different programs. They continue with those programs, but those programs were meant to be a kind of temporary, or a program that you graduate out of. So once opportunities come to you, you should grab it up, take it, and make the best use of it. Our people must know, Junior, that's a very important point, that the government cannot mine you. So you sit on your lazy self, waiting on the government to mine you, mine your children. So they have to provide for your children, provide for you. And the minute time it's not coming, you vex, you blue. That is what the NNP taught their supporters. The majority of NNP supporters, and I have to say this here straight up, because you know me, I'm very frank. The majority of NNP supporters, they believe that the government needs to mind them. So what you see in those houses where NNP exists, and some people may not like it, but that's a reality, a whole pile of children. So because if the woman realizes, or the man, well, boy, the government is taking care of me, paying my bills, sending my children to school. Every month I could go and collect $300, $400, $500 in poor relief assistance and so on. All they do is to make plenty. And then it becomes a burden on society, becomes a burden on government. And then they turn around and say, well, government doesn't mind them, government doesn't take care of them. That is what the NNP taught these people. But right now, they have to work for it. They have to work for it. I gave an analogy, and I don't want to be too long on the program. I had a nephew here living with me where I am. 3 bedrooms. So, my studio occupied 1, and then I had a free 1, and then my family in 1. Pretty okay, comfortable. So I brought my nephew because, he lives on the western side. I say, boy, if you come by me here, you walk in the hotel, it will cost you less, right? Well, you've been here for quite a while, and then 2 at an event at my place, at my lawn right here. And I overheard him say, well, telling some friends, well, I ain't have to work, I'm sorry, not no work. I ain't have to pay, I ain't have no bills to pay. Just like that. So you're telling colleagues, but I ain't have no bills to pay, I ain't say nothing. Junior, I ain't say a word. All I did, I say, all right. So you're not responsible at all, because I have to find it to pay it. So I say, well, when he charging the phone, I say, my brother, remove the charger. When the light on in the room, I start to cut off the light. When you have to cook on the stove, I said, nah, man, you have to go and get buy a gas. 3 gas cylinder is okay. You have yours. When you have to go in the fridge, I say, hold it down because I have bills to pay. And I start, when he's in the pipe and I say, the water running, you have to. So I start to throw things at it to say, boy, you got to be responsible. You know, when the internet and is on and doing the internet stuff, I say, brother, I'm going to cut off my internet now, you know, and so on. After a while, he start taking a plan from Digicel or Flow. He has to pay a bill on the month end. He moved back to my mother's place. I said to her, make sure that he pays the water bill and let the other sister pay the electricity, because I have been doing that for quite a while. But I'm saying all of this to say that we must make these people. Look at Michael Batiste. He busting his tail out, working hard. He tell me come and visit his farm and so on. I come in and I want to see what's going on with him. Hopefully I might be able to invest something. You never know. I mean, you're right. But I'm saying he understands that you have to inculcate in our people that you have to be responsible. You have to understand. You have to work, produce for you, your family, your community. And I think that is what the government has ushered in, a new type of governance to say to people, I'm not going to just give you a hand out, but I'm going to give you a hand up. An opportunity for you to exist, for you to survive with you and your family. I think that's a very salient point.
Yeah. We'll come to Dwight on this, right? Because this is still a factor. This is still something that is bouncing around, and it's now like a political football. The question of housing and the question of low-income housing and people that have been given this housing. I even heard, I don't know if it was Bola or somebody who said that the people in the diaspora, they're waiting to buy these houses. And that is so far from the truth as far as I understand this whole thing here. But he's saying, in a way, that the housing are just being set up for the people with money from the diaspora to come in and acquire these houses so they could establish the fact that they have residence in Grenada. So when time for election, they have a residence so they could vote. So he was saying that, and people was actually cheering. But I'm like, come on. Most people from the diaspora, they have family there, they have house, they have residence there already. And secondly, it doesn't work like that. Like, someone can just come from the diaspora and purchase a house in low-income housing. That is not the facts, right? So it's a lot of information that is circulating. And I wish and I hope and I pray that a member of the New National Party would have come on this program here. We did invite Mr. Dabrio on today. He did give me extend that he would be here, but then after he got caught in project that he was doing a certain part of the island, and he would not be able to be here at this time. He would delay. But I want that engagement because I want to ask these questions, right? We need to start talking to each other and not about each other. So I would love to have these questions answered, and we can't get it answered if you guys don't come on the program. So again, we have an open forum for you to come and do so. So Dwight, to that point, and I want you to also speak on the fact that, so I want you to speak on the housing, but I also wanted to speak on the fact that Kem said earlier that, you know, the delegates should try to do whatever they need to do to get rid of Dr. Keith Mitchell. My perspective is if the delegates want to keep voting him in, let them keep voting him in. That's the NNP decision, not Kem decision, not my decision, not anybody else's decision. However, someone said to me that...
No, Junior, I think you got that wrong.
Okay.
Because I would love for Keith Mitchell to remain there so he can get...
Wait. So that was saying... So, okay,
so he can get more licks and more licks and more licks.
So somebody said... What I was saying, somebody said to me, the biggest liability right now, or the best thing NDC have right now, one of the best things that they have right now is having Dr. Keith Mitchell there. It's a liability on the NNP. So, Dwight, I wanted to speak on that. Do you see that as a liability to the party? And also speak on the housing thing there. And Kem, I know you want to come in and interject as well.
But I would love to hear Michael's...
Yes. Dwight, do you want to yield to Michael, or you want to take that one?
I want to. Yeah, Ali.
Okay, Michael, let's talk about the housing first. The housing situation first. Low housing, no housing. You heard the whole preamble to that question there. What's your thoughts? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, we have a problem with the banks in Grenada. The banking system. The banking system is a problem. To open an account in a bank in Grenada is a daunting task.
Yes.
To get a loan in Grenada you may have to bring in your great-great-grandmother to stand security for you. We have to look at the banking system and the
Right.
opportunity that it affords ordinary Grenadians.
Yes.
It's not like in the USA where you can get an FHA loan, Federal Housing Association backed loan,
Authority. Right.
based authority, based on your income. It's not a situation where if you work somewhere for a few years, you're qualified for a loan. Number one, the banks discriminate against people. You could be too old to get a loan. When you're over 45, it's difficult to get a loan in Grenada. The banks don't want to give you a loan for housing. And that have to change. We have to look at the banking laws and amend the banking laws and make it as such they remove that discriminatory clause.
Right.
And we do it in a way in conjunction with government where they take risk.
But speak specifically to the low-income housing.
Right. How could a low-income person
Right.
purchase a low-income home without the assistance of the banks? The banks, that's the deterrent. The banks must be more conducive in assisting Grenadians. They have to take more risk in the development of the country. If you notice now, a young man could walk into the bank and get a loan for a car. Can he get a loan to buy a quarter of an acre of land? No, it's easier. I passed by the bank some time ago and I see they're dressing up a car by the bank. They encourage young people to come and get loans. And government must sit with the bank and come up with a plan where we have a government loan guarantee where young people could afford homes. It is just impossible today. A 4-inch block now is almost $5. A 1 yard of sand from St. Andrews to St. George's is $700-800. A bag of cement now is $30. It is impossible for young people today to own homes. So we have to tailor a plan that catering to the needs of the low-income owner. If not, they become a problem.
But isn't that the idea? Isn't that the idea with this situation where you're telling you have a property that worth over $200,000, a house, an apartment, and you're saying, okay, so you get in that apartment for $75,000 with an equity of over $150,000 on that particular property. Now, if you as a low-income earner go in and you get a loan for that $75,000 and you buy that house immediately have $150,000 in equity on it.
Providing you have, first of all, you must have the capital in order for you to get the equity. Because if you don't have the capital to purchase the house, you can't have the equity. The equity comes in after you're in possession of it. Okay? Now, it is difficult today to access loans from the banks. Banks are not lending young people money to build homes, except you're in a government job. And that have to stop. So it is now is the time where the government have to look at the Banking Act, look at the situation, the relationship with the banks and the low-income earners, and put systems in place that where government may guarantee a loan, we may have some government guaranteed loans. If not,
Right.
a poor man can't own a house today. It's impossible. When looking at owning a home, you have to look at the lands. Anywhere you can see a telephone post now, the land is $15 to $18 per square foot in some places in US. To build a home now, a 2-family house, with the cost of living, no construction materials, you're talking about $300,000-400,000. A person earning $1,000 or $1,500, how on earth today can they afford that? It's just impossible. So we have to have a serious plan as to how we meet the needs of people on the bottom of the economic ladder. Whether you give them a guarantee, you give your rent with an option to buy. How you do it? You extend the life of the loan to 50 years instead of the 20 years that the commercial banks are now given. You see, banks today in Grenada, they are partially responsible for rural decay. They take no risk in agriculture. They take no risk in lending homes. As a matter of fact, you try to open up you and I can stay on the phone here right now and call Citibank or Capital Bank in the United States, give them our information, and we will have a card sent to our home because we open up a new account. You go to a bank in Grenada and try to open up an account. So if it is so difficult for a poor person, a working man, and if you talk about the underground economy, if you can't
Right.
prove how you're working, there are people selling snow cone outside. There are people out here selling ripe fig, doing a little hustle in the underground economy. And to go into that bank today and open up an account is just about impossible. We have to look at that. Gone are the days when we had banks like the Penny Bank who accommodate Grenadians and allow Grenadians to and encourage them win savings. That's gone.
Right.
So,
Okay.
so the first thing we need to do before we talk about ownership, we have to look at who's going to give the mortgage. Is it a government guarantee mortgage? And if it's the banks, then we have to talk to the banks.
Right. Dwight, comment on that one, and Kim, I wanted to jump on it because I thought that in this conversation of the low-income housing, government did have some guarantees as it relates to owning those houses. Dwight, jump on it, and I know Kim would have some information for that, on
Yeah,
that
let
as
me
well.
just make two points. As Michael was speaking, I was actually reminded of these 2 points. One is that this present government, under the distinguished leadership of Senator Claudette Joseph, is dealing with the
Minimum wage.
minimum wage. Thank you.
Adjust.
The minimum wage in Grenada. And what that says is that when you look at the minimum wage, you're looking at the price of commodity versus the rate of pay. And that is very critical. And as a matter of fact, Grenada is the only country so far in the Caribbean, and I have checked, who is actually doing, I'm taking a look at minimum wage in this post-COVID period. That's one. Two, the Prime Minister, Honorable Decon Mitchell, the most Honorable Decon Mitchell, has said in the campaign, after the campaign, and up to recently, that the issue with the bank is something that his government is going to deal with. He said that. Kim could back me on this, and I know Michael could back me on it. He said it. He said he mentioned in a meeting during the campaign, the first time he raised it, he said to open a bank account in Grenada is literally a nightmare. And they seriously, and he even alluded to the point that this is not a Grenada thing, this is a regional thing. And after these banks would have raped and abused us, they pull out. They pull out and they pull out of the region, and they gone about their business and left in their wake economies that are either struggling or totally collapsed. And that's the reality, right? But the point I really want to make, and I want to agree with Michael in the sense that when he said that the banks are partially responsible, or let me not say partial, and this is Dwight's view here. I believe that the bank is responsible for what is happening within our sector in Grenada, our economy. I'm not an economist. I can't give you figures, but when you have a situation where the majority of your labor, most of your labor, or a significant percent of your labor is unskilled, when you have a situation, and this is one of the reasons why the Caribbean single market and economy is still a theory and has not yet come to fruition, because most of the workers in CARICOM, right? You're talking about our carpenters, painters, and so on. They did not go to school to learn it. They inherited the trade sometimes and were trained by older folks in their family or somebody in the community that taught them. Now, when these painters go out and they work and they paint our homes beautifully and they collect their $20,000-$30,000 for the job that they do, and they take these to the bank, the first question the bank wants is proof of income, where you get the money from. And then these same painters, some of those who are not educated, right? They don't know what to do, how to do it, how to go about now ascertaining the information that will prove that they earn this by their job. Some of them, their businesses are not even registered, right? And I know we had GIDC and so on who have been helping with that, but some of them don't even know where to go. And so what you find happening is that they have these monies in their hands. And when you have money in hand, guess what happens? Spend it out. And so when you spend out the money, 20 years down the road, 10 years down the road now, you may have built a house, you may have bought a car, you may have bought a piece of land, but you didn't put away nothing for your retirement. You didn't save a little something. And a lot of the times these contractors, these skilled people, skilled men and women around us, they end up in all kinds of relationships. They have children here, children there, children the other place, and they're not properly managed. And the question goes back: who is responsible to teach them financial literacy?
Right.
Who is responsible to teach them money management? Who is responsible? Is it the government? No. It is the same financial institution, it's the same banking industry that should be responsible to teach. Now, I remember when I was in primary school, we used to have this thing called Savings Union. But somehow when I got to secondary school, it disappeared. I think it totally disappeared now. But teaching our people how to save and to put away a 1 or 2 little penny is very critical.
Yeah.
I remember
it kind of that is a good point. Go ahead.
Yeah, I remember when I finished school, and I had the unfortunate displeasure of having to be a political worker. I remember that an older man in my community pulled me aside one day. I was coming from work, and I was all decked up, wearing my shirt and tie and looking on. And he said to me, he said, "Young man, let me tell you something. It's all well and good to look good. It's all well and to wear the nice tie and the shirt and stuff. But make sure you're putting aside a two penny some way that you can turn back to." And I took that old man's advice, and I went to the Union Cooperative Bank and I opened an account, which was the easiest bank at the time to open an account. And I started putting a little $5, a little $10. And when the government changed and I lost my job, I had a little $10, a little $5 to go back to.
Right.
But who is teaching our young people that now? Right?
True.
And as Michael said, it's easier to get, and this is not just Green, it's all over the region. It's easy to get a loan to buy a car, but it's not easy to get a mortgage because they have so many questions, life expectancy, and if you're a man, make it worse. They want you to take out all kinds of insurance and all kinds of things because they expect you to dead. Let's be real. They expect the man so they want the man to take out all kinds of insurance here and in life insurance and health insurance. They probably want insurance for your toe and your teeth and everything between that.
Right.
And so one thing about young people, they don't like frustration. They don't like things that make them uneasy. So they're not going for the mortgages, right? I remember telling a young man just last week, and I'm closing with this. I remember telling a young man just the other day, I said, brother, the government, under the previous government, built his mother a house, and they put it on stilts. Good house, nice house. And I said to him, I said, brother, your mother have a hole open downstairs, you know? He said, what do you mean? I said, brother, you live in your mother upstairs. Your mother have a hole open downstairs. This is somebody I went to school with. I said, go and build in your mother downstairs. He said to me, he said, boy, I said, brother, go and build in the downstairs. Come with an agreement. Go to a lawyer. Get an agreement signed up. Build in the downstairs. I said, you are renting, and which is good if you could afford it, yes. But if you take that income that you're putting into renting, that a lot of mostly rent is all 1,000 plus these days. If you take that money and you save half of that, and you live in your mother downstairs for 5 years, in 10 years, 5-10 years, you can build your own house and you have the down payment for a mortgage and even start to pay your mortgage while the house is building. You even could advance payments on your mortgage because you save. I said you have to think futuristic. Don't know if you take my advice.
That's one thing. That's one thing I think is a big failure. Teaching that, especially in schools. But let's jump to the phone lines real quick. Also, guys, let me just give you a programming note. You're watching Right Along Live, a little bit extended version. We have Kem Jones. We have, of course, Mr. Michael Batiste and Dwight Sampson. And we're talking about basically development. So we're speaking about with the IMF report, but we're talking about development and ideas for development, right? And also, I also want to take this opportunity to wish you guys and invite you guys to an event that's happening on the 2nd of December, which is this Saturday in New York. Kem Jones is going to be here, and we have just a few tickets on sale. Kem just alerted me on WhatsApp that just a few tickets remain. So if you want to be at that event in New York City, it's only $40. It's you could click on that link that is just pasted in the chat and purchase it right now, because probably after the show there may not be any tickets left, right? So we want you to do that right now, or give us a call and we'll get that available for you. Let's jump to the phone line. We got a call on the line. Caller live, where are you calling us from?
Good evening. I'm calling from Grenada.
Grenada, go right ahead.
Yeah, good evening to your panelists. I would like to agree with Mr. Batiste
Yes.
100% on how difficult it is to access banks for financing and even to open an account. I would like to agree with him 100%. But I think the question in my mind that was posed to the panelists is in connection with the low-income housing program.
Yes.
Now, with the low-income, right, well, I don't think he really addressed that, because with the low-income housing program, according to what was said from the Housing Authority, they would vet applicants, and then after vetting them, if they decide they're qualified, they would send them to a lending institution that comprises banks, credit unions, and the National Insurance Scheme. And they would get a mortgage of between 20 to 30 years at an increase rate not exceeding 5%. And they have institutions that have signed on to that already, right? And the repayment is as high, I don't think it's as high as $400. And $400 in my mind is that somebody who may qualify to get one of the units, that may be the rent that they are currently paying. It's just a matter of transfer. And if the person is with a spouse or a partner, and the aggregate income is a little over $2,000, I think that's easy for them. And lastly, January, the Minimum Wage Act would come on stream, and that would give people a little extra income to make it would be more affordable for them to get involved with the low-income housing program, which I think is an excellent program, because you literally guarantee a loan from the bank. You're paying basically what you're paying on rent. You're paying for that property would give you, like you said, Junior, equity,
Yes.
serious equity. So I think that is good. I mean, that is good. But then your other panelists there, not Kim, the Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Deacon Mitchell, has been bemoaning the situation with opening accounts in bank and the conditions now that exist in a bank. And one of the things that make it easy for people to walk in to get a loan for a car, in case they default on the loan, the car is repossessed and it's easily sold. You repossess it Friday evening, Monday morning somebody come for it.
Yes.
So that's how it is. But the whole financial situation in terms of the development of Grenada, it is very tough, really tough. For young people now, it is very, very, very tough. I mean, to get a mortgage in a bank is like they say, it's like pulling teeth.
Yeah.
It's very, very, very difficult.
I agree.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Right.
Thank you so much, caller. Kim, I want you to jump in right here, right? Because as it relates to the housing situation, the low-income housing situation, right? I think that a lot of people are kind of misunderstanding the idea of the low housing and the low income and no income housing. Explain from your understanding, you have a vast understanding of this project right here. How is this more beneficial for people who are maybe considered, I'm not going to use that word, but low income? How is that beneficial for someone?
Right. So Junior, it's very clear that the government wants our people to own something, to own a home, to own a piece of land. And my mind goes back to that program that they have now, where they're giving people who live on crown lands security of 10-year, or not just 10-year, but securing a piece of land, right? Owning something. You've been there 10 years on government land, you can now own it. They're going to make sure that you get a deed and a plan and go through the process, pay for it if you have to pay for it, but own it. But because there are a lot of people who have been on government land and they just can't own it. So they can't go to no bank, they can't go nowhere. And that's a good thing. with the apartments from Housing Authority. Remember, you had people who were occupying apartments before under the previous administration, and they were not paying the monthly amount. So if it's the $150 or the $200 that they agreed to pay, they were not paying that, and as a result, Housing Authority had to find money, borrow money to repair the facility, to maintain the facility, and so on. After a while, the facility will run down, start to leak, and molds, and painting, and railing mash up, and just name it. So what the government decided to do with the 600 and something houses or apartments is to say, okay, you apply for one, let us interview you, let us check you out, and let us engage the lending institutions so that you can get a loan at a reduced interest rate, and that you can now own that apartment by getting the money from the bank or the credit union, the $70,000 or the 50-something thousand dollars, I think $53,000 or so. You're going to get that money from them. You're going to come and you go pay us for the apartment. The apartment belongs to you, but of course, you have to pay the bank or the credit union. If you fail to pay the credit union, then you know what would happen to you. You have a greater responsibility now, because when the government gave you the apartment and entered into an agreement with you, you fail to pay on a monthly basis. Because you say, well, it's government, man. Why should I pay? They paid for 6 months, 7 months, and they told me party in power, I don't need to pay. And then you had a lot of delinquents, people not being compliant, they're not meeting the commitments and so on, and the facilities had to run down. What the government decided now to do with Housing Authority is say, look, you can own your own apartment, own your own home, but you must go to the financial institution. We're making it easy for you because we have engaged the financial institutions, and they agreed to give you the loan at X, Y, and Z once you qualify, right? So pay that $200 and that $300 to the financial institution and let them give us the money lump sum, and you have your property. That's a good thing. Owning your own apartment, owning your own home, owning your own land. I think the government is on the right track, in my opinion. I want to make a point here. The government, because Michael spoke about it's difficult for people to get loans, and I agree with him. The government is doing something about that, where they're regularizing public officers. And once you're regularized, then you have a letter from the Public Service Commission stating that you're a permanent employee and you now can go to the bank or the credit union and get a loan, access a loan, which is a good thing if you ask me, right? So that's a point that I wanted to bring forward, to make here that the government is actually what needs to be done. I agree. They need to engage the banks, credit unions, and so on, because it's just too difficult to open an account here. But I believe the reason why we are in this mess is because under the NNP, Cap Bank, not Co-op Bank, Cap Bank, set up all kind of liquor bank all around Grenada. When the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank told them, don't give DeBog and don't give these guys any license to open any bank. DeBog had a little shoe store somewhere on Hillsborough Street there, right? Don't give them. The NNP went ahead and gave DeBog a license to open Cap Bank, and they opened all about the place. People were running in there to open an account with high interest rates and so on, and two people lost their money because of NNP's bad management, bad judgment, and recklessness. Their wanton behavior. We lost millions and millions. In fact, taxpayers' money had to be used, and I think that was illegal, to be used to pay the folks, $500 and under. So there are a lot of people who are still waiting for their money, who put their money in that bank. So that could be a reason why it's a bit more difficult to open an account, and there's scrutiny and due diligence and check. You need to bring this and bring that. But again, I believe something needs to be done to ease up the burden on people who want to open a little savings account, open something in the bank. You just need too many documents and too many things to back up to get it. But again, and Michael might know very well about the Cap Bank, and folks, don't confuse yourself. Co-op Bank is totally different, a reliable, solid, good bank. I'm talking about Cap Bank, right? That's something that Michael might be able to talk about.
Right. Yeah, I'll come to you, Dwight. But Michael, I want to
But
talk about this.
hold on, Junior. I
Yeah.
need to say also that on the program is carried on Vibes 101.3 FM and 106.3 FM because normally I'm on around this time. So we are on radio. I just checked a while ago.
Okay.
We're on radio as it started from 8. So we're on
Okay.
radio for the hour.
So good night to the folks that's listening at 96, what, 96?
106.3 FM.
106.3
and
FM.
101.3 FM.
I want to big up yourself. Thanks for listening and thanks for locking in. This is Right Along Live, and we are combining with Kim Jones' program at this point in time to bring this program to you live. We're talking about development in Grenada, specifically with the IMF and the report that they brought. But now we're speaking right now about housing and the housing situation. Dwight, I'll come to you. But Michael, I want to ask you this question. I want to go back on this question that I asked earlier. During the first phase of the housing, the low-income housing that was given, the Chinese housing, right? The government had a plan to allocate these houses to individuals, and they were paying housing authority, or they're supposed to pay housing authority. However, 80%, there was an 80% non-compliance. So 80% of the people did not pay these the money to the housing authority. As a result, this houses that them was run down. Like the posts, everything breaking up, the roof leaking, real mess. It's a real mess because they're paying for it, and housing authority 400 million or 4 million or whatever due in funds, and they couldn't do anything either. So this government came in and they instituted the new phase where now when you want these houses, you have to go to the bank. They're not going to do the same thing because that didn't work. Now, from your perspective, from where you sit, looking at these two ideas, right, which one do you think is better, a better fit for for people, especially in the low income bracket? Not no income, the low income bracket.
All right. One of the first things that we need to do is to stabilize the working man, the workforce. Too many times we have people working under one government, another government comes in, and they lose their job. As a result of that uncertainty, the banks is reluctant to loan monies to people that's not covered, that's not by the Public Service Commission. There are lots of people that working and yet still, according to the banks, they don't have a job. Okay, because they can't go to the banks. Even courts would not even give them a little credit. So we need to stabilize that. If a person works with government for a period of time, whether 2 years or whatever, under any government, that person must be given some type of job security. It is not a situation where this government comes in. When I say this government, I'm not talking about the present government. A government comes in, and when they leave, half of the population becomes unemployed. In situations like that, it creates instability because these people can't get their lives together because of the job situation. So first, we must standardize things here. If a person is working with government for a number of years, we have to say that they're permanent. They don't have to be permanent with the Public Service Commission, but we see them as a permanent worker. So the bank recognize them as that. In terms of low income, and I always puzzle with that. What is a low income earner today, really? Is it a person who earns $2,000? Well, the majority of people in Grenada workers in Grenada earn $2,000 or less. And if you're talking about a $75,000 mortgage, and you do the maths with the cost of living today, a single woman, head of household with children, and you do the maths, it is difficult for a single woman, even earning $2,000 a month, to afford a $75,000 house.
But that was the same thing that it was paying, and sometimes even less or within that range
sometimes they
in
pay
phase
and
one.
sometimes they don't pay. You see, with government, you could pay now and again. With the banks, you have to do it on a regular basis. If not,
but Michael, when in government, if you don't pay for the housing, government is not who is paying for it, and it's taxpayers. So
Right.
if for instance, someone lived for the rest of the years, 6, 7 years, and they decided not going to pay for their living condition, whether it's $200, they just decided not going to pay. At the end of the day, is you, taxpayers, Kem, and everybody else that live in Grenada that pay their taxes that actually subsidizing people on inability or unwillingness to
I
pay
understand. I
their living
understand all
condition.
of that. At the time, we have a housing crisis in Grenada for low-income people, and we must find a way to build low-income housing that could accommodate people earning $2,000 or less. And someone going into a $200,000 loan, a person earning $2,000 or less, can't satisfy a mortgage of a house at $250,000. Number one, when you look at the interest, number one, when you look at the term, the terms and condition of that mortgage and the lifespan of that mortgage, it's just impossible. A $200,000 home, you would have to pay roughly $1,200 to $1,500 a month. A person earning $2,000 a month, how in heaven's name are they going to do it? So we
And that
have
is
to
why-
devise a plan.
And Michael, that is why, without cutting you, that is why the government the government has the 1-bedroom and the 2-bedroom apartments.
Right.
So the 2-bedroom, I think it's $73,000, and the 1-bedroom is 50. Is it 55, Junior?
50, one is, I think one is 75 and one is 50 something. Within that range. I could get the full numbers for you, but
55,000.
Right.
So again, we must understand not just the 70. We can realize that you're focusing on the 70 something thousand, but they are 50 something $1,000. Yeah.
So
55, right?
a family would live in a 1-bedroom. Is that what you're suggesting, Ken?
No. What I'm saying is that if you're low income, you have an option. So you might have your daughter, and you might be a single mother, or your father and somebody else. But I'm not saying that what you're saying is incorrect. I'm simply saying that there is an option, and
Okay.
it speaks to responsibility. Though we need to inculcate in our people that you have to become more responsible. You cannot just expect government to do everything for you. You enter into an agreement and you say, well, you're going to pay $150 on a monthly basis. The onus is on you to pay $150, even if it's government or even if it's the bank. So, we can't set the precedence where people are going to just occupy an apartment, occupy a house, and because it's government, I'm a party in power, I'm not going to pay, and no consequences will follow. And that's just the point I was trying to show
right.
you.
Okay. Dwight, what's your take
I
on
think
it?
Michael was making a point.
Michael?
Junior,
Sorry.
I really want to cut him here.
Okay. Michael, you want to finish your point and then we come to Dwight?
Well, they have to be set asides based on a person on the criteria, the capability and the criteria of that person based on their earnings. There have to be some set aside where you say that, look, a family, a single woman, head of household, earning $1,500 or less. There's no way a bank would allow her a mortgage. She just can't afford it. So what do we do with these people? This
No,
house,
and that is why you
some of
see,
this
Michael.
house,
But
Let me-
Michael,
Michael,
let
yeah,
me finish.
the government
Some
engaged the
of
lending
these
institutions.
houses were given to us, were given as gifts from the Chinese. They were
Right.
given as gifts.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we have to come up with a formula whereby we accommodate single women, head of household, the elderly, the low-income earner. We have to devise a plan of how we accommodate them so we could put a roof over their head. You see, we cannot have a one-size-fits-all for everybody. Our economy is not like that. Or the alternative is, let us develop the economy whereby more disposable income is flowing in the hands of ordinary people so they can stand on their own. But in the meantime, based on it is now, we have a problem because people on the bottom of the economic ladder just will not be able to afford such a home. It is tough as it is, making ends meet on $1,500 a month.
Yeah,
When you
but
look at
Michael,
yeah,
we-
agreed.
These are the people who you find in the shows for $400 a ticket. These are the people you find doing their nails and their hair every week. These are the same people that we call poor and vulnerable, but I tell you, they
I
leave
didn't
a
call them poor and
tiny-
vulnerable, you know. I never use the word.
Sorry, low income.
I call
Sorry.
it
But
low
but
income.
Michael, let me come in here. Let me come in here, Michael, because I see your point and I see where you're going, right? But these same, and I want to do the flip side of what Kim just did. These same single mothers that you're talking about, and yes, it's a reality. But rent is also going up, and that is a reality. And the cost of rent now is the cost of the same mortgage that you're paying to a bank. In addition to that, there are single mothers, and I love to say this because I tip my hat to these mothers, these women, these young women who, for whatever reason, got pregnant in secondary school or just after secondary school in early 20s.
Without cutting you, Dwight, junior people are asking for the number for the live. I don't know if
Okay.
it's been shown.
Yes, the
They
number.
want
Okay,
to
so the
call
number,
in.
if you want to call, I know it's
Yes,
showing, but it's not
start
announced.
already,
Okay, 718-701-5720. I forgot that we're also on radio. So, guys, if you want to call in on the live, on the radio, the number that you call is 718-701-5720 to bring you on the live. Dwight, go ahead, and after you finish, Dwight, I have someone on hold on the line right now. So go ahead, Dwight.
No, go ahead. Take the person.
Okay, let's take the call right now. We got a call on the line. Caller live, where are you calling us from?
Yeah, I'm calling from Grenada again, Junior. Please indulge me.
Yes.
I think Mr. Batiste I agree with him. If you are owning $1,500 and you go to a bank, first of all, the bank will not entertain you to give you a mortgage for $200,000. Under the program, it's $75,000 for the two-bedroom house, right? You can get as long as a mortgage for 30 years. The repayment is less than $400 a month, which is in the region of rent. So that same person owning $1,500 or $2,000 who is renting can go into the property and basically pay what they pay in rent. Now, if you have, let's face it, if you're a single mother with 4 or 5 children, she don't have that option to rent a property, a two-bedroom property. And then you are qualified by the National Housing Authority. And then they send you to the bank. Once they qualify you and you go to the bank would immediately give you the mortgage. You pay your $70,000, that money is paid to the Housing Authority. The quickness in which this transaction taking place, the Housing Authority could maybe use that as what they call a revolving credit, so more people can benefit. If it's you and a woman, let's say example, two young people, a couple, and they are, let's say, not Imanina, traffic wardens, right? They combine salary, and if they're living together, the combined salary could be in excess of $2,500 a month, or $3,000 a month, and you're paying $400 for rent. Come on.
Exactly.
That's a good start for anybody. But there are parameters. You can expect to go in a one-bedroom house and you have 4 children. You can expect to do that. This is starting for people, young people coming out. And as a matter of fact, after servicing that money, after servicing that loan at a financial institution, and your equity grows, you could then go back to that financial institution, you're servicing property, the equity on your property grows, you in a position to use that as security, maybe to go and buy a quarter-acre land to come and build something bigger. It's a good start. It's a very, very good start, but no $200,000 mortgage and $150,000 mortgage and stuff like that. No way. Somebody would be mad to go to a bank. I'm owning $1,500 and I want to borrow $200,000 for 20 years, for 40 years. And of course, you have to take the age of the people also.
Yes.
This thing is for young, starting people. And mind you, there are other facilities at the National Housing Authority to help other people.
Exactly.
There are other facilities there to do that. But looking at the program, and I don't know, Mr. Batiste keeps straying from the program that was introduced. He keeps straying. The program is, like the lady talked about the road, excellent, excellent, excellent. Good night.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, caller, for calling in. Again, the number that you call if you want to reach us on the inside on the live is 718-701-5720. That's 718-701-5720. Dwight, you were making a point.
Yeah, I was saying to Michael, one of the things that I applaud about women, Grenadian women, is that they started off in the public service and they may be earning $1,800, $2,000, whatever it is. Some of them may have a child or two. But guess what? When you look at the St. George University graduation every year, sometimes up to 30-40% of their graduation, the total graduation numbers are Grenadian. When you look at that number and you divide by factor, sometimes even up 20-30 are women. These young women are not sitting down. They are getting up and they're getting for themselves. These single mothers these days are not accepting the status quo. They are going out there, they're getting education. This is not just St. George University, but the University of the West Indies, Grenada campus, open campus at the Marisho House. They are going out there. They're doing what they have to do to get education for themselves, right? And I think we need to, as much as applaud them and encourage them. Yes, they may not be able to walk into a financial institution and get a loan for $200,000. They may not. But I believe if young persons in Grenada, and I've said this on the last program that we spoke on this, and I'll say it again, if young people in Grenada are serious about their future, head down to the housing authority, if there are still units available, and get your hands on one of them. Because if you are 25 or 20 and you get yourself one of these units, by the time you're 35, if you're smart and you could afford it based on your salary, you can pay an extra $400, an extra $200, an extra $100, whichever you could pay monthly. You add on to the repayment number. You quickly pay off the loan, and now you can use that equity and you can go into something else. So I think it's important that we not just dwell on the negative, but we also dwell on the positive here. The positive factor is that we have a housing crisis in Grenada. These units were given as a gift, granted, but not because it was given as a gift. And I do not want to stay entertained this NMP stupid way of thinking. Because it was given as a gift, you have to be just give it out as a gift. The reality is that it is brick and concrete at the end of the day, and it has to be maintained. And you mentioned, Michael, that a 4-inch block is what, $5 per block, and a bag of cement is $30. The reality is that somebody has to fix it. Somebody has to maintain it. Somebody has to make sure that it's livable, right? And if it is that we're giving it out to people who the NMP calls poor and vulnerable, then how are these people are going to maintain it? How are they going to make sure that it is in a livable condition? Who burden it becomes back a state burden again. And when that happens, what you find happen is that these people, and as Kim said, and this is a reality. I don't like to say it, I don't say it at all, but it's a reality. When you create a situation where you have a give me mentality, you feel as if, well, it's like Junior give me one of the electric bikes. I didn't pay for it, so I decided, okay, well, I will ride this bike every day, ride it, don't maintain it, don't do anything, don't even charge it, and guess what? It run down. And guess what? I'm going back now to Junior, give me another bike. No.
And that bike is expensive, just so you know.
And I'm saying, when you have a system of gimme, what you find happens that people don't take responsibility for their own action.
Right.
So in a lot of cases, when you look at these homes, they are filled with children that these same mothers or these same parents, they cannot maintain, because guess what? And the mentality is, okay, I go run down by the Ministry of Social Services because I need a school bag, I need a school shoe, I need a book, I need a this, I need a that. But the reality is, where is this money coming from? That is the question that needs to be asked.
Yeah.
And the NMP going to give you, because they want to come back at election time and say, oh, we give you book. Oh, we give a road walk. 2 fortnights. For how many times a year? Comparing to you giving them a job where they can provide for their family, they can meet their monthly commitments. As we say, they learn how to fish. It's like you're giving them a fish.
Yeah.
But you
I have a call on the line here.
Yeah,
that caller been on for a while. Let's take this call. Let's take this call real quick. Hold on 1 second, Dwight. Caller, where are you calling us from? That caller been holding on like forever. Caller,
I'm calling you from Grenada. I am calling you from Grenada, Junior.
Grenada, thank you so much. Go ahead.
Right. I want to send in my 2 pence.
Yes.
What I notice in Grenada now is that certain some people in Grenada, especially the younger people, some of them don't want to work. I notice there are people like from Venezuela, Cuba, Guyana, and all of the the Caribbean island. They are coming in here, and they accepting whatever little job they get to do. We Grenadians here, we feel, we don't want to go and work in a store. We know the store don't pay in much.
Right.
Right? But at the end of the day, you're getting a salary. Thank God we're going to have the increase in the minimum wage. So people are going to work for something,
Call us, stick up in right there. Call us, stick up in right there. Stick up in right there. Kim, I know you have your radio, so you need to say something there.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you, Junior. I want to thank, Dwight and Michael. I learn a lot. I love the way we, discuss amicably, bringing out the facts, bringing out information so people can be empowered, enlightened on things. I look forward, Junior, to being in New York. And next time I'll bring Michael with me because he's actually in Grenada now, right? So it's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. And to the folks on Vibes 101.3 FM and 106.3 FM, thank you very much for tolerating us with this big program, this big platform. Junior, keep doing what you're doing.
Yes.
I really admire what you're doing, my brother. And folks, thank you very much. And I have to clock out at this point in time.
Yes, and just give them another reminder, Kim, on the 2nd.
Yeah, the 2nd, yes. And tickets, you can actually access tickets on my Facebook page. You can look there, the flyers all over the place. Just look at the number, call, holla. You get a ticket, it's just $40 donation, really. We're going to socialize, we're going to talk about diaspora affairs, we're going to look at what we can do to develop and help our country. It's a touchdown. That's my first time in New York. I've been to Boston recently too. But it's really a good opportunity, and great many people want to meet me and interact and so on. And I look forward to that. It will be a wonderful time out there in New York. So I'm coming to New York on December the 2nd, and I'm leaving on the 3rd. So just for one day, right? Or should I say day or a couple of hours? Coming on the 2nd and leaving on the 3rd. So I look forward to meeting the folks in the diaspora in New York. And let's have a wonderful time at the Nutmeg House, 1215 Flatbush Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. Take it, Ken, back for now. Bye, everyone.
Absolutely. And that Kim had to do that programming for programming purposes because, of course, his program is also carried on the radio. Caller, sorry for cutting you halfway into what you were saying, so you could go ahead, caller. Continue.
Yes, so I made a point that that is my observation. That, the people coming in from migrating into Grenada, they're coming in, they're taking the little jobs that they get because they see opportunity for them. And if my memory serves me right, I think programs under the housing, under the government program in terms of housing, if you really cannot afford to build a house, they assist you.
Right.
They give you material. And I think they have the brigade where they send the brigade to help you put up the house.
Right.
Then it have the real poor, when I say, I wouldn't say poor, vulnerable people. They give them what you call house repair.
Right.
Right? And Junior, presently, right now, the previous government, there is a lot of people that got, Junior, I have been going around the country, and you can see these people and them, they got the material. The material stayed under the house, it's rotten. Right? All that is wastage, and taxpayers have to pay for it. But I'm making the point to say it's time that we get more serious.
Right.
If you want something, you are going to work for it. Mm-hmm. You are going to work, and you're going to have ambition, and you're going to try to achieve your goal. It's not every time you have to sit and let people just give you. Have some ambition.
Yes.
And try and own something. Those who cannot make it, put structure in place for them. Yes. But if you're working for $2,000, $2,500, why you cannot go to the bank and take a little loan and purchase the house? They're giving you time to pay your loan.
Yes, I agree.
Oh, man.
Thank you so much, caller. Thank you so much, caller. All right, let's just jump to this next call real quick, guys, because then we have to get some closing words from Dwight and Michael, because, guys, believe it or not, we absorbed 2 hours already, and we need to stop that. We got a caller. Caller, you're live. Caller, go right ahead.
Presently, right now.
Okay, good night, Junior.
Yes.
There's a lot of people.
Yes. I just want to add my 2 cents to your program tonight concerning the housing program.
Yes.
In 2018 or 19, I went to the housing authority. Somebody told me that they were building houses for people. All right? I already owned some lands. I went to them regarding, getting information to see how I could build a house. And the manager of the housing authority then told me that they're not building houses for people like they used to. They will supply the labor, you get the loan, and they will supply the labor for you.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, he even showed me one of the houses that they built for somebody, and the lady started to pay. I think he said she paid about 3 months, and it's somebody I know well. She paid for about 3 or 4 months, and then she said she's not paying anymore because her government in power. I went to Annandale, and there was a house in that area that the housing authority was building for somebody who was in England. All right. Mm-hmm. So what this government is doing now is what the previous government was doing. They were referring you to the banks to get the loan, and they would supply the labor.
Right, but not in relation to the housing, in relation to the Chinese housing. That was not the case. It was different. In the Chinese housing in phase 1, they were paying straight to housing authority, and some people just were not paying. Right. That's the whole
thing. The then manager of the housing authority told me that was one of the reasons that they weren't building houses again. They weren't. Whoever get house, in other words, get a house. Then you're not getting anything else now unless you can finance it for yourself.
Right.
Because people were saying that my government in power, I am not paying. My question to him was, so what is the government doing about it? He said, what do you want us to do? Throw the people out of the house? The lady tells me her government in power.
Yeah.
So what you want me to do to get in trouble? So what this government is doing is nothing new. And Grenadians need to, well, not Grenadians on the whole, a few of them need to educate themselves. And I noticed that the opposition is not saying poor and vulnerable again. And I have to thank him for that, right? Because he educating them. The thing is, it was an orchestrated plot to keep them poor and vulnerable so that their votes would be ensured when election time comes. And as the caller before me was saying, Grenadians, the younger generation on the whole, get lazy because they become so dependent on the little handouts that they were being given. And they were not educating themselves to know that you have to make a way for yourself. Somebody could give you a start. Right. But you have to use that start to make it. It's like somebody give you a goat.
Yes, scholar. Yeah, educate yourself to move forward. And you can't depend.
And this is right. And what Michael Batiste is trying to say, that he is way off the subject of the thing. If you could pay a rent for $400 and they're asking you to pay that same $400 to own your own house, why can't you do it? Okay. We are accustomed to making sacrifices.
True caller. Thank you so much.
The same $400 you're paying for rent, you're paying it as a down payment on a house.
Right.
Equity.
Yes.
And I guess they don't understand equity.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, caller. Thank you so much. All right, guys, so we're way over the time. We're going to close off. And I like when we have conversation where we could get inputs from so many different people on these perspectives. We are 2 hours. And I'm hoping that Brother Dabrio or anyone for that matter that may have opposing views come on and share their views. We'd like to hear different perspectives on this program. So let's close off now. Michael, we spoke about a lot of stuff, the IMF thing. I want you to go back into it briefly and just summarize it and tell us about in summary, what should be done from your perspective, and also close off with the housing thing. Yeah, we do have a lot of time, so probably you could condense that in a minute or two. I don't know if you could.
Thank you very much. In terms of the IMF report, the report points out to danger ahead. It says that we are doing well in terms of the CBI and construction. It made no mention about sustainable development. The CBI is an uncertain. There's a lot of uncertainty there because of the laws that were laid down by the United States in terms of who and how you can enter the United States now with a CBI passport.
But no. That's not the right. That's not the right term. Not a CBI passport.
Well,
the E2 visa. The E2 visa is what you get for the United States.
The same CBI.
No, it's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same because what people have to understand that the CBI thing is not just unique to Grenada or the Caribbean. The US have CBI program as well. All over the world have CBI program. So to say that CBI program would just be non-existent and void is not really correct.
Not non-existent. There's some restrictions.
Right, but that doesn't mean that CBI, the whole concept of CBI, because again, US, you could basically invest in the US and become a citizen as well. You could do that for Canada, and I'm sure in England as well. If you have the money and you can invest in projects in those big developed countries, you could get a passport or you could get a green card. So it's not like CBI is going to just freeze up and then that's going to end the CBI.
No,
I think that it would continue.
Junior, I never said it would end. I said there would be some restrictions.
Right.
Okay? So if our economy is growing on that, I think there's reason for concern. I think the fact that agriculture made no contribution towards that growth is troubling. I think our rural economy is still sluggish. While we talk about growth, there's a lot of people still hurting. And I think the growth have not yet reached the people on the bottom of the economic ladder. So there's a lot of work to do. But it's encouraging to hear that in spite of the collapse of the rural economy, there is still growth. And we pray that sometime the growth will trickle down to the ordinary people that's feeling the pinch right now. In terms of inflation, I can't help but tell you, when you go into the supermarket today and you look at the prices on the shelf, it's worldwide, but it's reaching here. The war in Ukraine, the problems in the Middle East, overall cost of living worldwide have significant impact on the cost of living in Grenada and create tremendous hardship here. There's no doubt about that. In terms of housing, in the China Hill project in Soubise, when the project was first proposed, the government of the day had some set aside for people living in Soubise in the low-lying areas. They said that people who are living in the vulnerable areas close to the sea line, they would get free housing. I don't know if that still stands. So some of the people living in China Hill are genuine people that were removed from the coastal front in Soubise and placed there on the undertaking that they would pay no rent at all. Right. But in terms of the overall housing problem, there's a housing crisis in Grenada, and we cannot have a policy where one size fits all. I heard the lady said, if you're paying $400 for a rent, you can pay that down on a house. I wish it was as simple as that. The problem of banking, the banking system have to be looked at. It is too difficult for Grenadians to access loans, both for development and for housing. So we need to look at this area. But overall, I want to thank you for again having me on the program. I was happy to be here with Kem. We agree on in a lot of areas, and a lot of areas we don't agree.
For once.
Looking forward. Dwight is a off swinger. He swings here and there, so it's hard to anything. But by and large, it was a good program. I'm happy to be here with. I was happy to be here with Kem.
Thank you, my brother. Dwight also have to run, and we're way over time. So Dwight, close it off for us, and let me take care of my housekeeping, my ads and stuff.
I think I think my uncle Donkey wouldn't like Michael to be saying that, but it's all right. I will accept his sentiment. I'm not a swinger. I know where I stand. Yeah, it was a good program. I'm actually in my kid's bedroom because it's the quietest place in the house, and they're way past their bedtime. So I blame you for that, Junior.
Yeah.
In my wrapping up remarks, I think this government, present government, has its challenges and has its struggles, like every government. But I think the undertone is the commitment to the development of Grenada. I think that is critical. Um, and yes, we have a housing problem. I don't think it's a problem that started now. I don't think it's a problem that started with the previous government. I don't think it's a problem that started with the previous government before the previous government. I think it's something that we should have put emphasis, rural development, urban development rather, something that desperately needs to be looked at. If you look at areas where I come from in the South, Grandin, St. David's, you realize that people are just find a plot of land and put up something that they can live in, something that's comfortable for them, and they are left to fend on that. So I think urban development is critical. Now, I want to make the note that the problems that Grenada face, in many retrospect, it's not just a Grenadian problem; it's a regional problem.
Yes. True.
And a lot of these problems, and sometimes it's not even just regional; it's global. And a lot of these problems are inherited from government to government, and they're not going to go away in the immediate future. But I want to strongly end on this point. Sometime in the program, it was talked about the bread and butter issue, and I want to say this: that regardless of what you do, regardless of what the government does, regardless of how many jobs they provide, there are still some people who will not have access to the spur in economic activity. It's just the reality.
Right.
As well as some people are going to get it. The construction workers and so on, they are going to benefit, right? The single mother who can probably work on a construction site or work in the geriatric care service or wherever, they might benefit. But the problem that we have in the Caribbean and in the world right now is that whenever money comes in the left hand, it goes out in the right hand. And that's just the reality, because guess what? You have high electricity rates, high internet rates, because it use a bit of electricity as well. Because of the war in Ukraine and now the pending war with Guyana and Venezuela, two oil producing nations, it's not going to go away. And this has nothing to do with the government of the day. So anybody telling the government of the day is responsible is not true. It's a lie. It is because of the conditions in the world. We have a situation with the Panama Canal now. The Panama Canal used to be the gateway where ships could have come through from the east, from the countries, China and Japan and Korea, come through the Panama Canal, come into the Caribbean, even go to North America. The Panama Canal, there's been a backlog there. Over 200 ships have been standing waiting to go through the canal and can't. All of these things affects the economy of our third world countries as Grenada. It's critical and important that we understand that. So no matter what investment opportunity, no matter what economic activity the government stirs up, as quick as the money comes, it will go. And every country in the world, in the Caribbean, is facing this right now because of the uncertainty that lies. It takes very longer now. If you live in the US, you can order. I was telling somebody this just on the weekend. You can order a charger tonight, and it comes to you in the morning. And Junior, but in the Caribbean, it takes 2 weeks. It takes 2 weeks in some instances, probably takes a week, but it takes longer time because of where we are located. So I'm just saying to my Grenadian brothers and sisters, whole strain. We understand it's difficult. You understand that it's frustrating, but you can make it. You just have to find that little ton hand, as we just call it. If you can make a little guava cheese, you can sell it. If you can make a little juice bag, sell it. Whatever you can to supplement your income, this is what you have to do. Nobody, even in the great America, nobody these days seems to be having one job. Everybody's finding a talent and a skill. You do the same thing too, and you may just be able to survive. That's all I have to say. Good night. God bless you.
Thank you so much, my friend. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dwight. And of course, Michael Batiste, thank you so much, my brother. It was always great, always good having conversation with you guys. And there's Kem Jones, who were on earlier. Thank you so much, my brother. I got some closing words. My thoughts. when I come right back. Don't move.
Grenada, as we celebrate 50 years of independence.
I love my Grenada.
Made in Grenada presents the celebration of 50 years of Calypso.
Open me a little better night, honey.
One stage.
No, not so fast.
One show.
Music holding me, controlling.
Grenada's best Calypsonians performing Grenada's greatest hits.
Don't take it off.
Sunday, February 11th, 2024 at 6 p.m. sharp. Grenada National Stadium. More information coming soon.
When the DJ play Peter Humphrey, she raise her hand and she tell me, making no place sweeter than home.
The government of Grenada, through the Ministry of Finance, is continuing the rollout of its tax amnesty initiative. The amnesty provides 100% waiver of all interest and penalties on all outstanding balances up to the end of December 2021. All taxpayers with outstanding tax balances and outstanding returns to file are encouraged to take advantage of this amnesty. All tax types administered by the division are eligible for tax amnesty. For further information on the tax amnesty, please contact the Inland Revenue Division at 435-6945 or 435-6946. Email tpshelpdesk@ird.gov.gd or visit our website ird.gd. Amnesty ends December 31st.
The Ministry of Tourism and Economic Development and the Grenada Tourism Authority extend a warm welcome to visitors and returning nationals visiting for Carnival and summer vacation. We do hope you enjoy your stay with us, and we invite you to return with friends and family to celebrate our 50th anniversary of independence on 7th February 2024. Tourism is my business, your business, our business.
I want you folks to play these 3 games from the NLA. Daily pick 3 cash flow and play with. You will be supporting sports and culture, nation building and our future. So go out and play, folks, make it a must. You will see what the National Lottery is doing for us. When you play pick 3 cash flow and play with, the NLA will support you all the way.
Starting September 30th, Monday to Friday, these 3 games will be drawn mid-morning, 9:45 a.m., midday, 12:45 p.m., and evenings, 7:45 p.m. The National Lotteries, supporting sports, culture, and nation building.
Sandy Money Day.
Cathwell Stationery Services Limited announces its massive blowout sale on all stationery for school and office. Get copy paper at just $18 per ream. Enjoy up to 18% off folders, cardstock, Bristol boards, ink and toner cartridges, laptops, office furniture, and more. To order now, call 442-5848 or 5747. or call 435-3377 and get free delivery island-wide and the lowest prices nationwide. Or visit our outlet on Scott Street, St. George's, where we guarantee the lowest prices daily. Cathwell Stationery Services Limited, the reliable office supply people.
Yeah. Thanks for watching on this extended version of Ride Along Live. Okay, let me tell you this. Nobody owes you anything. Nobody owes you anything. Stop believing and feel like somebody owe you something. Nobody owe you nothing, right? I get the impression from some people that they feel like there is some kind of organization that is probably in the diaspora or someplace that is just set up specifically to just send money or send barrels or just that money just sitting there waiting to just allocate. Nah, there is nothing like that. Don't sit there and feel like people or anybody for that matter owe you anything. You have to get up and get. You have to find your niche. You have to find what you're good at. Everybody was born with a talent. Everybody was born with something that was given to them from God that they could use to utilize to even bring in an income for themselves and to support their family. So don't sit there and feel like, you know, you're going to wait or rely on somebody to bring you that or feed you or spoon feed you or give you this. Nobody don't owe you nothing. Nobody don't owe you nothing. There was this one lady, she called us one time and she needed some assistance. Now we give assistance when we can. There's no obligation, right? We are not sitting on a pile of money and we ain't pick no money from no money tree. So we were in a position at this point in time to help this lady and she needed the assistance. After we give the lady assistance, I gave her an advice. I said, listen, I'm going to give you this cash. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to the Coke factory. I want you to go and buy some Coke, some Fanta, some Sprite, and even go to the breweries. Buy some beers and get a nice little cooler and sell these things. Sell the water, sell the Coke, sell the beers, sell it, right? The money that you would make from selling those products should be double what you put in, what you spend. As soon as you get that, you take 50% of that, you pocket that, and you take the next 50% and you buy, you just keep replicating that same idea once again. Go and buy 50% of, go and buy beers and soda and water and Coke and sell it again. Sell that. Then you take 50% and you continue and replicate that. Funny enough, I mean, I thought it was a brilliant idea, so I don't have to hear from the lady again. Sadly enough, though, she called me back about 2 weeks later, and yeah, she asked for assistance again. So clearly she didn't take my advice. Clearly she didn't take my advice. So don't be that, guys. Don't be the person who sit there and expect that somebody owe you something, like somebody have something for you and they nobody don't owe you nothing. Much as don't believe government or a politician for that matter is going to spoon feed you or put food in your mouth like a bird. No, you have to get up and get, right? Like if that lady took my advice, I could guarantee you, if she took my advice, she would have been in a much better place because the advice that I gave her, it's the same advice that I use myself. I had one little computer, one little old computer. I used to build computers and fix computers. I fixed that computer up. I put all kind of Microsoft Word back in it, have real good softwares on it. And I sold that computer, that one computer, and I bought 2 computers. I kept one, sold the next one. I bought 4 and 8 and 10. Next, I had so much computers selling. I used to build and sell computers. That's before Y2K. So if you just replicate these ideas in other things, guys, you would see you don't have to depend on nobody. Because that is the problem. When you become vulnerable to somebody, they own you. They own you. And they will only give you just the right amount to keep you satisfied for just that short period of time. Just enough to get you halfway full. They ain't going to fully feed you. They ain't going to fully tell you, no, listen, take this and make something out of yourself. I don't want to be there always giving you something. You could do it. You could do it. So don't let nobody tell you that you can't, right? And don't feel that anybody owe you anything. Nobody don't owe you nothing. Nobody don't owe you nothing. Get up and get. And that advice is worth $1 million. Trust me when I tell you that. An advice is worth more than $1 million. I'm sure Mike, as a businessman, or anyone that's listening to me could understand that, could attest to that. All right. That's all I have to say today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for being a part of this program. I want to apologize to one person. I'm not apologizing for the video that I did yesterday, right? It was needed to be said, right? But my mom was scrolling through Facebook yesterday, and she watched the video all the way to the end. Yeah. So I should have said at the beginning, Mom, don't watch this video, right? But my mom, she's always a big supporter. I mean, she understands my frustration. I'm not apologizing for the video yesterday, okay? I'm not apologizing for the video yesterday. It needed to be said. And if I had more time, I would have said more. Who know what I'm talking about? No. Who don't know? Go and watch the video from yesterday. Watch till the end. All right? Who know? Who don't know? Don't know. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching again. Chem party is on Saturday. If you guys are going to be around in New York City, if you guys are going to be in New York City, go and purchase a ticket for that event. It's $40. And you could click that link right now and pick up that ticket. Or you could call, I believe Spice Rock has some tickets still. You could call Spice Rock. And you could call right along. We'll give you some information where you could pick up the tickets as well. If you're in Brooklyn, you could pick up the tickets there. Get it before the event because they might charge more at the door. Right? We have well-stocked bar, real vibe celebrities passing through and thing. Real vibe, real music and stuff, right? So if you're in Brooklyn, Saturday is a vibe in Brooklyn. Yeah, Saturday, big up yourself. See, people say, oh Lord, what Chem is a celebrity coming to New York and turn up the place. Turn up the place. Guys, also, if you're going to be in Grenada for Independence, we're going to be having an executive cruise, and we're going off to Hog Island, and that's February 4th. You might think it's a long time away, but you could get a ticket now, right? Food and drinks and real vibes on the executive cruise. We're going Hog Island. It's going to be real. Come, ridersebike.com, but we're going to be telling you more about it. The official launch of the Riders e-bike is going to be on January 2nd. We'll have our first ride, but we are going to have a waiting list because we do not test ride. We do not test ride, and I'm only we're going to have opening for 5 people that want to do a test ride, and that's going to be before. So we're going to ride as a group, kind of like showing how the e-bike work and stuff like that. So we're taking 5 of our viewers. So if you want to be on that list, or considered to be on that list for a test drive, we're going to put the link there. You could fill out the little form and to be a part of our first rides on the island. Okay? All right? Look out for that, guys. Jackie Chaitan, happy belated birthday to you. Happy belated birthday, Jackie Chaitan. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching. Guys, if you have a business and you want to advertise, Right Along is still the number one, reaching over 10 million, and it's increasing. And we even added some other components. Of course, we have our 20,000 plus downloads on our Fire TV. Yeah. Over 20,000 downloads on Fire TV. And of course, you could even listen to our podcast on Spotify, right? So you can listen to Right Along podcasts on Spotify and also on Apple Podcasts. So all over, everything like salt. You're going to get tired to see we face. Catch you guys again tomorrow. Good night. On behalf of all of the production crew here, executive producer, Lynn, how you doing? Boss, lady. And of course, Kibbs, big up yourself. Gail Charles. Thanks to everyone. Good night.
Now